Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a oolong tea to taste, to explore together a unique origin. I'll talk about a little bit about that, but first I want to get this tea started. Scooping out enough here to cover the bottom inch and a half diameter of my 3-ounce gaiwan here. Water has been brought to an early boil, started to rumble, not a full rolling boil though. I'm going to add enough water. A little bit's going to sit above the rim of the lid. Those leaves are just swirling, dancing around in there. So there's plenty of water in there and space. With a balled or rolled oolong like this, you want to have space in your steeping vessel so that they can expand. So a little bit of water above the rim, looks good. Introduce this tea and talk a little bit about it. This is from Teamania. This is their, it says organic. The name here is Organic Oolong RuanZhi from the Royal Project. A little bit of background about what that actually means. Organic information, the product page, I should start off with the word organic. Not, from what I recall on the product page, seeing any indication of specific organic standards, whether it was JAS, USDA, NOP, sometimes that's used of USDA. So what standards are used for organic is not outlined on the product page. Other information. RuanZhi, that sounds like RuanZhi. I'll have to, and there's some indication here that I'll talk a little bit about that later. RuanZhi is Qingxin, the green heart, roughly translated, variety of cultivated variety of tea, often found in Taiwan. Royal Project. This is an area of Thailand that was dedicated by the royal family to looking for ways of developing agriculture and especially alternatives to what can often happen in Thailand and northern Thailand, that area that may be associated with some drug production. So this was a way to provide alternative crops, alternative sources of income for farms and families who may have been limited in what they could produce or were in a illegal trade of products like drugs, or in the drug production process there. So, that having been said, 100 grams available for $9.30 US dollars, roughly on the translation, the currency exchange system available on that Teamania site. Harvest is given roughly as 2012. Then again, this is in the Royal Project in Chiangdao, which is Chiang Mai Province, northern Thailand. So, talk a little bit about this tea, the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. First, getting into the dry leaf, there's a lot of aroma coming off of the wet leaf here already, but I do want to get a smell here into the dry leaf. Getting the sweet notes, kind of a buttery, buttercream type of smell. I should say unsalted butter there. There's a sweet cream kind of butter smell coming off. There's a bit of a woody, yet floral, what's the term that's coming, that's just slipped my mind, but it's the English laurel. It's that shrub with the white flowers. It's got a bit of a woody type of smell. It's got a little bit of a floral type of smell. Sweet as well. So it's kind of a sweet wood, kind of a sweet flower. Those are there. A little bit of a honey kind of note there. There's also that sweetness maybe associated with. Okay. Scoop out a few of these leaves here and look at them. These are tightly rolled. You can see that it looks like, because there's a stem piece there, it looks like more than one leaf. And the size of these indicates that as well. There's more than one leaf, probably in some of these cases here. You're getting dark green over towards a green-brown type of color. You have got some lighter kind of olive drab color there as well. Not a lot of, I don't see a glossy sheen on these leaves. I see fairly smooth colors matte, if you want to use a word instead of glossy. So, having set that aside, get ready to pour and talk about this wet leaf. Angle my lid over to the side. And there we go. Shake out any last few drops here. I'm going to give this guy one a shake too. Talk about that color and that liquor in just a moment. And a smell here. Again, still sweet, floral, kind of a light pear, sweet pear type of smell. Roasted pear. I mean, there's some heat notes to it coming out as well. The word graham cracker came to mind. There is something kind of toasty, sweet about this. Graham cracker may somewhat captures that. Toasted bread with honey drizzled on it might also kind of capture what that's going on. Okay, less of the kind of vegetable type aspects here. More in the area of toasty and floral. Okay, taking out a few of these leaves and looking at them. A leaf here, nearly fully unfurled. It's kind of wrinkled, crinkled. Yeah, it's unfurled. You've got some oxidation, darker patches here and there where more oxidation, so you have a little more rust here and there on that leaf. It's a bit thicker leaf. It's an individual leaf, I notice as well. Let's pull out and see a couple more, see what's going on. Leaves are well intact. I'm not getting a lot of shabby, ragged looking leaves. There's another leaf. Again, a little bit of oxidation, darker patches, blotches, although smaller in this case, here and there on that leaf. Let's see. Now I was noticing stem, like I was saying, in the dry leaf, and so I was looking to see if that stem was attached to one leaf or more than one. In this one that I pulled out here, I've got two leaves and a small bud there in the middle. These leaves have fully unfurled, and they're kind of folded, but they can easily just be opened up between my fingers here. A little bit more ragged edge on these, a little bit more oxidation taking place on some of these ragged edges. So you've got a fairly unbroken line of rust along the outer edge of these leaves on this two-leaf set here, two-leaf and bud set here. So I've got some one-leafers. I've got some leaf and two leaves and a bud. So I've got some variety going on here in this particular steeping here. More of the same, so I'm going to move on now, talk a little bit about the liquor. Hold that up to the light. You've got a nice golden yellow, a deeper yellow type of color here, almost kind of a yellow brown. A little bit more of the English laurel coming out, so it's got a bit of a sweetness there, a little bit of a pear skin type of smell coming off, a little bit more of that, a little bit of that graham cracker toastiness there too. Give it a taste here. Good color, looks darker, looks richer in a white cup like this. I'm going to let that cool for a minute, because Taiwanese oolongs that use what I am suspecting is the same cultivar here often taste better, get a larger range of characteristics as it cools. So as I taste this here, texture was a bit lower. It had some brothiness, although it took a while for that to really come to the fore. So it tasted, the first thing that really hit was a bit more of the astringent note. The aromas a bit lighter, a bit less differentiated and pronounced, so that you weren't able to necessarily pull out. I mean, you got mostly the English laurel, a bit of sweetness there, maybe a bit of honeyed sweetness. You had to kind of work to filter out the astringent aspect to get to some of those parts, to detect and be more aware of those parts. Now, as this tea is cooled, texture has built up. The astringency has fallen back. The texture has risen a little bit, so that you get more of a smoother, a little bit more of a brothy that is more in balance with the astringency, that allows a little bit more of the toasty sweetness to come out. And again, it's still kind of in that graham cracker toast with honey type of sweetness, toastiness elements coming out. You still get, along with that, there's some floral notes that rise into the nose that are more of a English laurel type. Aftertaste, this one, I'm still getting some sweetness there, building fairly well. Sitting more in the back of my mouth, underneath the back of my tongue, less so down as it proceeds down into my throat. The extension or duration, it's lasting quite a while now, several seconds now, still staying at the same level of intensity there. So it's got some duration to it. It's got a good level of intensity to it too. So one more shot here as it's cooled off even more. Off-camera tastings reflected similar. I detected a bit. It was easier to draw out astringency in this particular one than some others, if you're comparing it with Qingxing oolongs from Taiwan. But this is not from Taiwan. This is from Thailand. This is so different location. The skills, the seasons, the harvests, all these things can add some variation here. So when I'm looking at this tea, trying to compare it somewhat, but yet not quite. This is a tea that has some potential to it. There are some things that can be going for this tea. I would be very interested in looking at let's say a spring harvest of this compared with a fall harvest. I'd like to see how the tea masters, the processors are developing their skills in processing this tea. So there can be some variation there. So overall, I would give this tea, give this one an 88. Go easy on it. Don't let it steep too long so that it doesn't build up as much astringency. When you do drink it, let the temperature fall a little more so that you'll be able to get a more balanced broth, texture, astringency, flavor components, taste components there together. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find out more about teas and the situations, the parameters in which to best enjoy them as well.